welcome back to Afternoon Express. And we are back on the couch with Dr. Genevieve De Silva, an educational psychologist, Carmen de Vos from the Parent Centre, and Jonathan Ruston, the Provincial Secretary of SADTU in the Western Cape. Violence and crime can result in higher educator turnover at schools and results in strained relationships between learners and staff. We as a society cannot continue to overlook the impact of crime and violence on educators and learners in this country. It is quite an issue. However, you know what I have heard over and over again is parents saying, oh, I paid this amount of school fees at school, I expect the teacher, and my child's a maniac. Parents are expecting teachers to do all the work. Hey, is that what we're finding?
I think very much so. There's this idea that I'm paying somebody else to educate my children.
Yeah.
And I think I'm a parent, I have 3 boys, and so, it's not easy. But at the end of the day, I can take the time out to raise my 3 boys, instilling them values and discipline over a period of 18 years, or I can expect somebody else to do that for 60 children if they have one class in a year. I think that's a rather unfair expectation.
I know, but I was busy looking at the tweets at Afternoon Chat, and somebody says, I discipline my son at home, but he picks up behaviours at school. How do we deal with that? Yeah. Which I find is a very good question, because I think that happens a lot. If I see with my godsons, little angels at home, and then with their buddies, they're little terrorists.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, another one here says, what we're speaking about is parents taking responsibility at the end of the day and not shifting the blame. So, Diwan here on Facebook says, at Afternoon Express, my personal opinion is that when the head of the home, the father, I must lead by example. If I lead by a positive path and respect their mother, it will surely affect them positively. Manners and morals start at home. A lack of father's love can have a negative impact on a child, and it can take time for it to heal. I mean, I feel like that was so moving because we see the man taking full responsibility. A lot of times they say the mother must nurture. The mother, speak to your mother. If you do something wrong, go to your mother. But it's a dual thing. 2 people have to come together.
Yes, now if I could answer there, I absolutely agree. That discipline starts at home. And as I said earlier on, it doesn't just start with discipline, it's that relationship building from a very young age. We need to be teaching children the difference between what's right or wrong. We need to be teaching them what is socially acceptable behavior, and definitely by role modeling. Whether it's something as small as teaching toddlers to tie their shoelaces, also the way parents speak to teachers. So yes, maybe there are challenges at school, but as a parent, you still need to remain respectful, and you need to model that respect. So even when your child then complains about something happening at school, instead of you as a parent also bad-mouthing the teacher, adding to the child's negative feelings, you also do need to teach your child to remain respectful.
Yeah, and you had an answer for what happens when your children do pick up extra bad habits at school. Like, you can do so much at home, but then what happens at school?
So, again, as a parent, it's my responsibility to help them navigate that. So even if my children are picking up habits at school, when I hear the stories coming home from school, if the teacher brings it up to me, or even if I see things going on, it's up to me to step in and say, even though your friends do this at school, we as a family, we do things differently. These are our values. This is how we carry it out. And these are things you can do at school in order to change that behavior, respond differently, or ask for help from your teacher or whatever other process is available.
And what are schools doing to help this environment? Because, I mean, if a teacher, as stressed as the teacher can be, and could be the best teacher in the world, if you've got a classroom of 60 students, at some point you're going to snap. So how are those teachers being protective? I mean, are there going to be more teachers in smaller classrooms? What can help?
Well, we would love that. We think that we need to relook at the post-provisioning model so that we can have a lower teacher-pupil ratio, which makes schools, classes more manageable. But what's important is that the learners understand that the parents are part of the education process. If the parent shows a keen interest in the work of the learner, it helps a lot. By attending parent-teacher meetings, helping with homework, even if you can't finish the maths in grade 10, show an interest. Check every day if what work you've done at the school, be in contact with the teacher, and also create a positive atmosphere towards the school. So that you involve in the education. If they're bullying at schools, report to the school, let the school deal with it decisively,
Yeah.
but let's build a positive atmosphere at the institution.
But let's look at how many cases there are where children go to schools and when teachers go to schools and both parties get bullied, they get reported and nothing gets done about it. How are we going to change the models of our schools that our teachers and our students feel safer?
I've got some stats available. I was looking earlier on at how many knifing incidents took place at schools. It's in the Western Cape.
Yeah.
In the Western Cape in 2017, there were 18 knifing incidents in our schools, of which 1 fatality, 2 fatalities. In 2018, 90 knifings with 1 fatality. Assaults at schools. In 2017, 249.
Wow.
In 2018, 279. That means it's violent places. We need to...
And that's what's been reported.
That's reported.
Yeah.
That's reported. We need to see how we build in our model for staffing of schools. We need social workers. We need counselors. We need parents to volunteer at school.
Yeah.
You asked about what do you do with a child who misbehave. We strongly believe let the parent come to school and shadow the child for the day.
Wow.
So that you actually can monitor what happens within the classroom and also be able to empathize, help with the behavior problems, and in that way take responsibility for the behavior as well.
Yeah.
That's such an incredible idea. I mean, I think incorporating more of that family structure within the schools also can truly transform the mood. Because I remember going to school thinking, who's going to bully me today? Who's going to say what? I've always grown up really short, small-framed, and people took advantage. So having this conversation is so crucial, and it's on time because we're seeing so many scary stories daily.
Thank you so much for being here today. I mean, this is such an important conversation. I wish we had more time because I think that it's something that we really do need to discuss even more until we start seeing a change. But thank you so much to all of our guests for being here. And thank you so much for joining us. It's such a pleasure having you with us every afternoon. Now join us for a mouth-watering cook-along tomorrow as we chat to one of our favourite South African couples, Bontle Mbodisele and Pretty Ugly, on their new musical collaboration. That's going to be really exciting.
They are definitely couple goals.
I usually get pretty ugly in the kitchen, but tomorrow's going to be a whole other story. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow. Good night and God bless.
Cheers.
Bye.